Imagine being so far from land that the closest people to you are floating in space. Tonight, we're going to discuss Point Nemo, literally the loneliest place on the planet, and talk about the terrifying sound that came from its depths. Buckle in. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Amateur Hour Podcast. This is episode 52, Isolation. For those of you who do not know, I am Matt, your lovely host. But for those of you returning, what it do, baby? Yes, hold the applause, Hi, what's up? We're back, right? And we, as in me. Today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, is about Point Nemo, right? Which has been dubbed the loneliest place on the planet. Now, that already sounds scary, right? Like the ocean already feels like it's the loneliest place on the planet. But Point Nemo gets a little bit worse than that. But before we get into that, now originally I had a topic and I had 2 videos recorded previously, right, for the channel, trying to get back into the groove of things. And I will say I was a little bit rusty, taking a little bit of a break. I think it was like a 2-month break before I really started to try to record again. Rusty. As you expect. So I recorded a couple of videos and I was really excited about them because the topic at the time was a trending topic. We can still get into it at a later date, but I just felt like the ship had sailed, right? It was a very big trending topic idea that I wanted to jump on, and I did until the technical issues came into play. So now moving on. Let's get into a couple of current events, and then we're going to get into the main topic, right? So I wanted to talk about the movie Sinners, right? At the time of this recording, I think I read that it said it's somewhere around 70-something million, 87 million worldwide, which is on track to surpass 100 million, which is pretty good for an R-rated movie, right? Especially like a horror movie. I'm hoping it makes all the money, right? But I just wanted to say that I did see Sinners. That was one of my anticipated movies of the year. We love Michael B. Jordan. And then to have Michael B. Jordan and Michael C. Jordan, right? You want to have him 2 times? What's better than that, right? So we love Michael B. Jordan. Ryan Coogler is an amazing director, right? From his movies of Fruitvale Station all the way up to Black Panther and then now Sinners, he just knows so much about cinema. He just knows so much about his craft, and it's like actually very inspiring to like hear him talk about his passion, right? Like it's nice to hear him talk about these things. It's nice to hear him discuss why he filmed things the way he filmed, or what makes like what kind of turns the gears in his head when it comes to filmmaking, right? So again, this isn't a review of Sinners. I don't know if I have the capabilities to really put out review content. I mean, I can try it. If that's something you guys are interested in, please let me know, and I can always do like movie reviews, right? Kind of do like non-spoiler, spoiler reviews. So if that's something you guys want to see, we definitely can get into that. But yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I did see Sinners. It was a good movie. If you haven't seen it, go out and see it. It was great. It was great. The cast was amazing. The script, it flowed so nice. The storytelling, the inspiration it drew from, the time period it was in, everything was just perfect, right? Especially for a horror movie like this. So I just wanted to go out there and show love to it. Like I said, this isn't a review. I'm as a movie lover, I wanted to show some love because, like I said, movies like that, unique, original IPs, original movies, with like heart and soul. Like I know we got to a point where with movies where it's like remakes, and I know a lot of people are getting burnt out on the superhero stuff, and a lot of the superhero movies these days are just nothing but green screens, right? They're in a room like this, and it's not anything like, there's no actual cinematography, or there's none of these shots that you're like, oh my god, this is a beautiful place, like it used to be, right? Like which was a norm. And don't get me wrong, I love my superhero movies, and I love any type of movie. Like doesn't matter how you make it if you can make a great movie, but some of these movies are art, and Sinners is a work of art, and I just want everyone to go see it. It has my recommendation, if that means anything to you guys. Definitely a 9.5 out of 10. I don't know if I can give it a 10 out of 10 without spoiling it. Maybe by next episode It'll give you guys enough time to really go see it, and I can talk about some spoilers and maybe, like I said, give a review or go a little more in depth with it, right? But go see Sinners if you haven't already, right? All right, with that out the way, before we get into the Point Nemo stuff, I do have one more spooky thing to talk about, right? Now, this one actually is a little scarier than the Point Nemo thing to me, but only because if you're local to Arizona, this one might be a little scarier, right? So recently, a TikTok page called Wiggins Worldwide has been blowing up. This is a couple who sold all their shit, packed up, and moved to the deserts of Arizona, right? And they posted a video maybe 2 days ago. I don't know exactly when the first video was posted. Now, the page, Wiggins Wild World, they found dozens of children's backpack, shoes, and even bones scattered across the remote desert area in Arizona, not far from where they live off the grid. They posted videos showing everything that was just dumped out there in the middle of nowhere. And I'm not gonna lie, it's super eerie. It's a lot of kids shit, right? Small backpacks, children's backpacks, clothing, bones, like I said, all that stuff. Now, some think that it's related to like the immigrants in the area, right? Trying to come in or like traveling through the deserts and just kind of having their stuff lost. But it got to a point where it's getting a little weird, right? Now, no matter the context, right? Even let's just say in a perfect world, all this stuff was just left out there for whatever, right? Just trash. It was dumped. Let's just say that nothing scary or eerie or evil is tied to this, right? Even that in itself is still scary when you find items like that deep into the desert, right? Like, especially kid stuff. Like I said, bones, shoes, clothing, backpacks. Like, stuff like that just sounds weird, right? Now, I didn't want to do a whole episode topic about this because it kind of still was developing. But let me tell you what the scary part of this was. The first video came across my feed, right? And the Wiggins page, they were talking about how they found this stuff and they were filming it, right? They filmed it. They were, showing all the stuff on the ground. And then, so I went on a little bit of a deep dive, right? I started to kind of like go into trying to find answers, right? Especially because it's in Arizona, right? This is local. And I didn't want to do a whole episode about it, which I can. If you guys are interested, drop a comment down below and let me know if you want me to break this down more. But the reason why I didn't just yet was because it was still actively developing. And it was getting spookier and spookier as like the videos went on because I didn't watch all of them. The first video was them recording them finding all this stuff, right? Then there was something going around that they were being followed, like after posting this, and it got 300,000 likes and it got millions of views or whatever, right? After posting that, I think they were reporting that they were being followed by some type of SUV at one point. Even a plane. They said that there was like some small plane that kept like circling their area, and I think they even mentioned seeing a specific person, like a specific man, kept kind of showing up in their area, kind of just kind of eerily being there. Now, I know to the normal person, like the paranoia and the schizophrenic, like, that thought, like, oh my God, you think someone's watching you? You're probably crazy. The weird part was in the morning of today is when I was doing all this research, right? When I was looking into it, and you were able to click on their page. The TikTok that I saw, the person tagged their page in it, went straight to their page, and the videos are there. From the first video, they had recorded maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They recorded maybe 5 videos pertaining to this incident, right? And the last one that I saw, the most recent update, was that the husband and wife actually went to a motel. They kind of needed. They were feeling spooked. They said they felt like they were being followed by this SUV, by this man, and they had like this plane following them, right? And the plane thing, I didn't even really get into that video too much. I didn't hear them talking too much about it. I just heard that there was a suspicious plane that kept circling their area. So the spooky part for me was that I was looking at this about 8 in the morning. And by maybe like 10, I try to go back into the Wiggins Wild World page, right? and their whole entire TikTok page is taken down right now. If you're able to go to, if you search if you search Wiggins Wild World on TikTok, they had a page, and it was a normal page prior to this incident. They were doing like off the grid videos, and it was just very normal TikToks. But their whole page is gone now. I don't know if it's like deactivated or deleted, but like their whole entire page is wiped at the moment. So you can't even see the original videos. You have to see the videos that other people stitched and kind of uploaded themselves or whatever, pertaining to that original. But that was the spookiest part to me. Now, in the comments of some of these videos, there were a few people that were local to Arizona, and they were discussing that there's a possibility that there may be some type of connection to the mystical Midnight Productions that we spoke about on a previous episode. If you want to check it out, you know what to do. Some people think that it might be this specific group that may have some type of like hand in that, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Do I think that there's a possibility with that? Sure, right? Any type of group that's doing like trafficking of any kind. You never know, right? You can't put it past anybody. But there's just so much shady shit going on that I don't know if it's a specific, like, it's really hard to pin it on a specific group, right? Maybe it might be a group bigger than the Midnight Productions. And like I said, since we dropped that episode, Midnight Productions has been growing as like a people are treating it like some type of not an urban legend, but like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a myth. Like it's got this like, some people know about it, some people don't, some people swear by it, some people think it's just, he say, she say type of stuff. So I again, if we want to go into it a little bit deeper, or I wanted to let these events unfold a little bit more before I got into a whole topic about it. So stay tuned for that. Maybe on the next episode we might get into that, because it is a little spooky, and we do have to be careful, because when dealing with these types of things, the last thing I want is to be. I'm already paranoid as it is. I don't want to look outside and see a fucking black SUV chilling outside my house, So. But I'll keep you guys updated with that if we get any news, because like I said, the fact that the page is gone is kind of crazy. All right, now that I got that out of my system, let's get to the main topic. So let's talk about another isolated spooky place, right? Point Nemo, which is the topic of today. Now, where even is Point Nemo? Point Nemo is what they call the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. So basically, it's the point in the ocean that's furthest from any land in any direction. It's about over 1,600 miles away from the nearest land. The name Nemo is Latin for no one, which, fits this specific point on Earth, because there's literally no one there. And one of the crazy parts about Point Nemo is that NASA and other space agencies actually use the water around Point Nemo as a spacecraft cemetery. When satellites or old space stations are decommissioned, they crash them into the ocean at that spot. Over 260 spacecraft have been dumped in this specific part of the ocean. So if you want to just thinking about it, right? Like, everyone, do me a favor, right? Put your imagination cap on, right? Close your eyes, put your imagination cap on, and just picture the ocean, right? The empty, scary, waves crashing, isolated part of the ocean, right? Close your eyes, right? Imagine you're floating there, right? You're just like this, right? You're just kind of floating in the water, and you're trying not to like drink any of this nasty ass salt water, but you're in Point Nemo and you don't know where the fuck. There's no one near you except the astronauts in space, right? But they can't help you, so you're fucked, right? You're floating. And let's say one of the waves just kind of brings you underwater, right? And you splash underwater and you open your eyes, and you just see, you wouldn't be able to, but let's just pretend for the sake of the argument that you can see all of these spacecraft in the ocean. Like, I feel like this part, if society were to like end, right? And then people thousands of years later, like, somehow found this part of the ocean, they would look into it and see all these spacecraft like underwater, the same way like the Titanic is. Like, we've all seen pictures of the Titanic and how it's rusted and like there's like it's falling apart, but it's still together, and it just looks eerie, and it's got barnacles on it, and there's fish in there, and it's dark and it's scary. It's spooky as fuck. Now imagine 260 spacecraft. Like, we're not talking ships. It's one thing to see like an old ship and you're like, oh, okay, that looks like a ship. But then you're like, there's spaceships in the fucking ocean? Like, what the fuck? Could you imagine? Like I'm saying, thousands of years from now, people are gonna find it and they're gonna be like, what the fuck? This had to be an alien base. There's spaceships down here. Like, like you see how like stuff like that happens. That's fucking scary. That's scary to me. If I were to open my eyes, first of all, being in the ocean is fucking scary. Let's just get that out the way. Like the deep ocean, the middle of nowhere is giving me the heebie-jeebies, right? But just to even think about looking in the ocean and seeing all this debris and space shit, hell nah. That's a no for me, dog. Now, Point Nemo is isolation on another level, right? If you somehow got stranded at Point Nemo, your nearest neighbors wouldn't even be on Earth. The closest humans would be astronauts flying above you on the International Space Station. That is what we call real isolation. Adding a creepy layer to it, horror writer H.P. Lovecraft, decades before Point Nemo was officially mapped, described a sunken city called R'lyeh, where the cosmic monster Cthulhu sleeps, right around the same area. Coincidence? Maybe. But it makes you wonder what's really hidden out there. That's scary, right? I mean, hey, if Cthulhu would be anywhere, it'd probably be there, right? Let's just be real. The scariest part of all this, right, is a sound that some of you might be familiar with. It's called the bloop, right? Bloop, 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 bloop. It's called the bloop. Now, the bloop, something made a sound down there. In 1997, an ultra-low frequency sound echoed through the Pacific. It was so powerful that it was detected over 3,000 miles away. They named it the bloop. And early theories were pretty wild. Some thought it was a creature, bigger than anything known to science, stirring in the deep. Now, in 1997, like I said, they heard this sound, and yeah, conspiracy theorists. I've heard of this. Obviously, this is one of the big conspiracy ocean, type of topics that you hear about all the time. The bloop, because this was a sound that just nobody knew where it came from, and you start to think like you have all the conspiracy theorists run with it, and they say it's Cthulhu, it's the megalodon, or it's just some type of kaiju that we're not aware of, right? Something's down there, something's making that noise, which to me, again, that just adds another layer to the terrifying like place that the ocean is. But the fact that this came from Point Nemo is actually a little scary, right? Later on, the agency NOAA came out and said, relax everyone, it's just an ice quake, nothing to see here. They pretty much were trying to say that it was just two big ass icebergs just rubbing against each other, and one of them cracked and made this sound. Which, most of the time with these conspiracy theories, the most logical answer, or the answer is probably the most logical one. But when it comes to the ocean and just the way my brain works, that's not what I'm riding with, right? The ocean is a place where sunlight dies at a few hundred feet down, where pressure crushes anything weak, and where ancient things could easily be sleeping, untouched, waiting. Was it just an ice quake? Maybe. Or maybe it was something that woke up and then went back to sleep. Right? Now, obviously, we're playing it up on the spooky side of things, right? Now, like I said, the ocean is super big, and I'm sure all of you have heard the age-old phrase where people are like, we've only discovered 5% of the ocean, or we've only explored blah blah blah. Like you could, you have that, right? And that's very true. I was kind of I got annoyed one day and I was tired of hearing that, so I actually did some research and I was like, really, like, is it really true that only 10% of the ocean has been explored or whatever? And it turns out it's actually pretty accurate. Like, at least officially, not a lot of the ocean has been just explored. There's so much of it and it's so dangerous. Like, you literally you need to be well equipped to really explore the depths of the ocean. And even being the most equipped, you still can only get so far, right? Now, do I think the government hasn't been there or mapped as much as they can? No. I'm pretty sure off the record there's tons of things that we don't know what's going on. The conspiracy side goes into like I know there's a little bit of conspiracy about the nukes that they were testing in the ocean, about how, like, yeah, they weren't testing nukes, they were actually trying to put something down. You have all these conspiracies about the ocean, like going from all the way back to the nukes, all the way till now, all the way from the bloop up until the Bermuda Triangle, taking people. Like, I don't believe that our governments, or any governments, right, the world governments, there has to be somebody out there who's leading these excavations of the ocean, right? There's no way that we're just not doing it. I do think that they're not reporting everything they're finding, but for the most part, I do think the militaries and the governments of the world do more or less have a better understanding of the ocean than we do as just average Joes, right? But that is not going to stop us from theorizing and kind of turning these things into the spooky conspiracies that we like to think about. Will we ever really know what the bloop was? Probably not. But it won't stop us from wondering what's really lurking where nobody can see. Now, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think the bloop was and how you feel about Point Nemo. When you go on TikTok and you look up Point Nemo, there's tons of videos, even if they're like AI generated or even if they're just like scripted or fake. Because I know there's one guy who claims to be out there and he's in the middle of the ocean, but he's not in Point Nemo. Like, he'd be live streaming from TikTok out there and shit. He's like, I'm in Point Nemo. And like, obviously he's not. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts about what you think about that. And like, how does it make you feel to know like that there's a specific point on the earth that you are closer to fucking astronauts in space than to people on land? Because that, to me, my brain still can't really wrap around how that's even possible, right? But yes, I want to hear your thoughts below about Point Nemo. And like I said, to close it out, I just the ocean terrifies me, man. That's one of those things I don't fuck with. And I tell people all the time, I do not fuck with the ocean. The ocean is beautiful, but it is also scary and terrifying, and I just don't fuck with it, right? Like, I'm not an ocean creature. You see gills on me? You see gills? Nuh-uh. So I'm not playing in the ocean. Like, I'll go in it, but like cruise ships or just like surfing or anything that just requires you to go a little too far out is not where I want to be. Like I said, I ain't got no damn gills on me. I don't belong in the ocean. And if something's going to kill me, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm going to die, I want it to be on land where I can at the very least stand on my own 2 feet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather fight a lion than fight a shark in the water. Now, am I going to lose to the lion? Most def. But at least I'll be able to plant my feet and try to do something. Like, a lion comes after me, I'm going straight for the lion's nuts. You know what I'm saying? Whoa-ta! Right? And just whoo, and see if that does anything. But like a shark, I'm just trying to fucking swim. I'm not even that great of a swimmer. So like, I'm trying to keep myself afloat and fight this motherfucker. No siree bob for me. I don't play with the ocean. I respect it. I love it. It's beautiful, but I don't play about that. Ever since the Bermuda Triangle was a scary thing, not my realm, not my land, not my environment. Fuck it. And I will say as a side note, and I don't know if you guys feel like this, but I really thought I was going to have to deal with the Bermuda Triangle a lot more as an adult than I actually do. As a kid, I was like, oh my God, the Bermuda Triangle, bro. What am I going to do? Like, once I'm out the house, and I got to take care of myself, what am I going to do with the Bermuda Triangle, bro? It's out there. I just thought I was going to have to deal with it a lot more as an adult than I do today. But that's all I have for you today. I wanted to leave you guys with that thought. The Point Nemo thing was on my brain for a little bit. And, it wasn't the most glamorous topic. It's not something that there's tons of creepypastas and scary things you can talk about, but there wasn't really much to it besides the things that I told you. I feel like even though they weren't a lot, they were still spooky as shit because they're real. These are just real things. It's literally the most isolated place on the planet. Who would want to be there? They say that if you made it out to that point, and there's a specific flag. I'm gonna post it up here if I can put it up. But there's a specific flag where it says, if you see this, which indicates that you're at Point Nemo, it's game over. You're never getting back. You're not getting any help to get back at the very least, right? Because like I said, the closest people to you are these goddamn astronauts up top, and they don't even know you're there. So realistically, if you found yourself at Point Nemo, it's game over. You're never coming back. Before the end of the video, I want to hear from you. What do you think the bloop was? Do you think it was actually iceberg cracking and breaking and rubbing? Or do you think it was something a lot bigger and maybe a little more spooky? And Point Nemo, have you heard of it? If you have, do you have any stories you want to talk about? Put them in the comments, or anything you want me to cover in a future video, go ahead and drop that down below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already for this type of content. We kind of specialize in the spooky, the paranormal, and just everything that's going on. So like I said, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the episode. This is Matt with the Amateur Hour Podcast, episode 52, and we'll see you in the next one, all right?